hello, welcome back to my channel if you're new. Hi, my name is Melleny. If you'd like to get to know me a little better, all my social media links are always linked down below in the description bar. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in seeing what I'm currently up to. I mean, quarantine and lockdown in South Africa has just been crazy. I've been reading a ton, so you know, positives. I might be going a bit stir crazy, but one of the great things is that I actually get to do my vlogs, which is something that I don't really do often, and that's kind of one of the content I've been producing as of late. So I haven't been in front of the camera in what feels like forever, but I hope we get past the awkwards. But I'm so excited for today's video. I want to talk about the books that I really enjoyed rereading. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, when I originally read it I gave it like 1 star and then now all of a sudden I'm giving it 5 stars. It's not about that. It's just about books that I've grown to love a lot more after having reread them. Some of them are because they weren't as great for me and now they're like incredible. Others are they were already incredible, but my love for them has grown. So I'm so excited to talk about them. There's only like 6 books on here because I figured, you know, 6 books, it's an even number. We love evens. Before we get started though, I just wanted to ask what are books that you've really enjoyed reading the second or third or fourth or however many times after? Like which books have you enjoyed reading more? But I think without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight on into this video. So the first book that I have on this list is probably going to be a bit of a surprise because a lot of people are loving the series right now, but I originally did not love it that much. And the series that I'm talking about is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. So basically I read The Raven Boys years ago, back when it was like pretty popular on BookTube. It's probably like 2-3 years ago. I don't know, I can't exactly remember. And I read it and I was like, it's good, but it wasn't good enough for me to get the rest of the series. And then last year I was like, okay, cool, well then I guess I will read it. And so I listened to the audiobooks of this, and Will Pollard, I believe it's Will Pollard who narrates it, is incredible. He just has a way with voices, and honestly I got so sucked in by the audiobooks that I just kept going with audiobooks. So basically this series has reignited my love for it, and also it has inspired me and just made me realize how incredible and how easy it is to listen to audiobooks. I mean, I don't like to sit and listen to them. I like to do stuff, so I usually listen to an audiobook whilst I'm driving, which is convenient considering that my university is like 30 minutes away without traffic. So it really makes going through an audiobook quite quick, and that way I'm always constantly reading, you know, living up to my dreams. But this series I really did love a lot more the second time around. I basically just am talking about The Raven Boys because I've already read The Raven Boys twice, but I do plan on rereading the series this year and actually sitting and reading it because I actually want to annotate it with sticky notes and really enjoy it. I don't really think the next series comes as a surprise that I've enjoyed. The first book is another book that I read it, I liked it well enough. I thought it was great the first time, but the second time I read it, it was incredible. It was so good that I reread the book twice in the same year. That must mean something. And the series that I am talking about is The Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. And I even love it so much that I got it tattooed on my arm. So it's on me forever, you know. So like that, if that doesn't tell you what my love for this series is like, then I don't really think you know me. But I really love the series. If you haven't picked it up, I know a lot, like now that the 3rd book is out, there's a lot of hype going around it, and you know what? Justified. It is a series that is kind of difficult to get to initially. Every time I read the series, the first 100 pages takes me a minute or two because J. Kristoff writes in a very particular and peculiar way, and it takes you a second. There are multiple ways to read the series because it does have footnotes. Some people think footnotes is lazy world building. I think it adds a lot to the series because despite the fact that the world beyond the footnotes without them is quite incredible, the footnotes just add a richness to it. It's just incredible, and I stan this series. I am beyond obsessed. I'm so sad that I missed out on the Illuminate republication of the hardcovers of the UK editions, but I'm content with having these as trades and looking at investing, and I'm seriously talking about investing in the US hardcovers because they are like 500 rand, which is intense, and I am willing to jump into that puddle of debt. So I think that says enough about how much I really enjoyed this series the second time around. I'm so excited to actually get to the point where I can reread it this year because I intend to reread this every single year until the day I die. Another book that I really enjoyed the second time around even more than the first time is also one that is not a surprise. I feel like this is kind of obvious, but for new people this might not be. Especially if you don't follow me on Instagram, this is a good point to follow me on Instagram. But I really loved rereading the Illuminate Files. I loved this book the first time around, But my obsession grew with the fact that I reread it the second time. I need to just find the right group of words, the right phrase to get tattooed on me, because, you know, I think my mom would kill me, but I love this so very much. I'm loving the whole concept around this and everything, and I think that a lot of people misunderstand this. It is difficult to read as just a plain old book, but this, along with the audiobook, it's beautiful. I just can't stop talking about the fact that this and the audiobook smashed together makes, like, it's a recipe for success. And if you haven't read this with the audiobook, you need to find a way to read it, because it is so good. It is so freaking good, and I cannot recommend this author duo and Jay Kristoff. I haven't read anything by Amy Kaufman, but I will be getting there. But just incredible. The sass, the snark, the romance. Listen, it hits you in the feels. Okay? You will cry, but it will be worth it. You know, tears and pain and all of that will be worth it. Another book that I really enjoyed the second time around is Kiss of the Staffroom. When I originally read this a couple years back, I think it was 2017 or something, I was okay with the book. I mean, it had its aspects, it won me over, but I was not that in love with it that I wanted to continue with the series straight away. I reread the series and this book last year, and I could not stop. The fact that it was on audio and it was just incredible helps it a lot. I mean, it was such an incredible reread. I am now looking forward to investing in the hardcovers, which is something that I don't purchase very often, unless it's a series that I absolutely love. And I loved Kiss of Deception. It was a 5-star read for me, where initially it was like a measly 4-star, which is still pretty good rating, but the fact that it just jumped to full star just says a lot. And I loved it. The intricacies, the political intrigue, that's something that I've really discovered over the years, is that if a book has a really strong political intrigue, like, it's a 4-star on its own, and then if you have this mystery, this romance, just a ton of aspects that just add to the story's depth and stuff, it makes me excited, okay? I loved it. I loved it so very, very much, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't read this series, you should. The next book I want to talk about is one that I've also once again liked initially, but loved the second time around, and that is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Sadie is an incredible book that haunts me to this day. It's a strong YA thriller, and I say strong because, as I said, I haven't been able to stop thinking about that book, and it's another book that I like to reread every single year, despite the fact that I know it so very, very well. This is a fantastic story with dual point of views, dual perspectives, and you kind of have it in Sadie's point of view, and she is such an unreliable narrator, and then you have this podcast and this guy who's trying to investigate this mystery, mixed together with like a really big twist. It's a book of success, and I love it. I love it so very much. Courtney Summers did an incredible job with this book. Honestly, incredible. The last book that I want to talk about today is one that I didn't really love as much as the others, but I enjoyed more nonetheless the second time around, and that book is Zenith by I Start Allspark and Lindsay Cummings. So this book I didn't really love. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It was what it was. It isn't my favorite YA fantasy. I tend to enjoy YA fantasy, but this didn't really win me over. The first time, the second time, it did almost warm up to, like, I did warm up to it, but not as much as I thought I would have. I gave it 3 stars because it is what it is, and I think if you don't really read a lot of YA and this is your first venture into YA, it's a great place to start. It is easygoing, it is all of that. I DNF'd this book originally like barely 50 pages in or something, and now when I listen to it, I listened to it on audio, and I just loved it a lot more than I did initially, because I think the cast really did a great job of representing the story, making you really get engrossed in it, and I enjoyed it. I hate to say it, but I enjoyed it. And I don't hate this book as much as what I originally did, but I definitely think that it wasn't original enough, and it makes me sad because, you know, I know there's a huge thing with booktubers and getting book deals. I kind of had hope for it, which is why I asked my cousin to buy me a hardcover of it. Kind of sad I wasted his money like this when I could have asked him for something else, but it is what it is, you know? These are all the books that I really enjoyed the second time around. I know this isn't as quite dramatic and trauma-filled as what you were expecting, but it just Sometimes rereading a book is worth it. I know a lot of people don't do it because they're like, I've read it, I've done it, it's dusted, but sometimes it's worth rereading for me and like really getting to re-experience a book, because it's never going to be the same as reading it for the first time, but sometimes I feel like I get an inkling of that feeling, and for me it's like worth the chase of the rereads. And it's just great, and I love the fact that I do enjoy my rereads more. There are a couple of books where I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't like you as much as what I'd hoped or expected to, but I guess it is what it is. But I mean, the fact that so many of these books are rereads and I love them, it means a lot. I mean, like, this whole thing is about rereads, right? This whole video. But the fact that I enjoy it more after reading tons of books in between the reread just says a lot about how well some books age. But thank you so much for watching. Please let me know down below in the comment section what books you really enjoyed rereading and what books you were planning on rereading if you don't have any books that you've reread and enjoyed. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next one.